Hey, Denise, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Not too shabby. Just waiting on see if Luca's joining. Da, da, da. And I'll share my screen.
Hey, can
Uh,
you update the invite with well, I thought I sent the message, but I'll share the address to use for right now.
okay.
Um
Let me see. He might have posted a message here. Oh, Luke won't be joining today. He posted a message in the channel. So thank you, Luke. All right.
yeah, and can do you know how to send an invite to the Slack to what you call Slack?
Invite. Oh, you mean like sending the meeting invite
Not the
to
no, well, yeah, update the meeting invite with the address I just added, but the Slack channel, I can't get to the Slack channel because it keeps saying I need an invite.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I know it's
let
really weird.
me invite you. Da, 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 da. Let me see here. Don't even have permissions to invite
Yeah, it might need to be like,
Andrea. Let me
yeah,
see.
exactly.
Add people. No, I think I can add you. All right.
Okay.
Let me see if you pop up. All right, add. All right. Did you get that?
Let's see. I don't see anything. Yeah, I don't see anything.
Yeah, because there was. Yeah, I see one for. This might be a different Didisi though.
what's the email address?
There is no email on this one.
Okay. Let me try a different account because if it's the other account, that's fine too. I
Okay,
just
okay.
want to get no, neither. Neither has it.
Okay.
Because it might be
Let me
the
see
just
here.
my regular Apple account.
Yeah, well, I saw two. I saw your Apple one that's already in there, but I saw your
Mhm.
this other Didisi, but the time zone's also in East Coast. So I'm like, I
Oh,
don't know if that's
it might
so
actually be another Dadisi. That would be weird.
yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I can also get your email. Is it your typical your personal email that you sent
Yeah,
stuff
this
to
is
me?
the for my consulting company.
Okay, okay, cool, cool. Let me go in there and get your email, and I should be able to.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's the one I posted in the chat. I posted an email in the chat on this conversation.
okay, cool, cool. I'll just use that then. Ba, ba,
Okay.
ba. Once I can find it, there it is. Okay, da, da, da. All right, all right. So I sent it to that email. Let me know
Okay.
if you get that one.
Mhm. That button there. Um, yeah, still nothing. Okay, I'll see if I can.
Oh, no, 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 no. Andrea needs to do it. Let me
Okay.
message Andrea.
Okay. Yeah, it needs to be like the administrator.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, so all right. That should happen soon because I do see
Okay.
Andrea on, so just to let you know.
Okay.
Cool. Let me share my screen real quick. Da, da, da. Is the Firefox? That's not Firefox. That is also not Firefox. There's Firefox. Okay. Bum, bum. Let's go here. All right. January 13th. Oh, I gotta re-sign in apparently. Sign in. All right. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, I already got that. So this is January 13th. January 13th, 2026. All right. Participants, copy this. Actually, I can just copy. Yeah, just that. All right. And just please sign in when you get a chance. Do you have the link? I'll actually just throw it in the chat just in case.
Okay.
Bum, bum, bum. Chat. There. Oh, that's not it. Uh, this. Why is it not copying that? Copy. Paste. There we go.
Oh, cool.
And
Oh
then,
yeah, yeah. No, I have this link. Okay.
okay, okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't think I thought it was in there.
All right, so we need a zero point 0.6 roadmap technically, so I'll update that. Needs a zero point 0.6 roadmap. And then the agenda, I will do here. Da, da, da. This is like the first meeting back, so getting situated here. All right, and then action items. Da, da, da. All right. Oh, that's not right. Okay. So, we did so December, I think mid-December, zero point 0.5 was released, but I think some bu some bugs regarding release and the reported by David. So if we look at the github.com, CDEvents, spec PR, I think David made a couple PRs. Yeah. Oh, it looks like it already got merged. Wait. Yeah. So this is another PR. So originally, we had Henry over here. He implemented a solution to convert some of our uh CI/CD basically was a bash, but it's gotten pretty complex. So he took the time to do that in Python. But David went ahead and then said that he didn't want to introduce a new language to the stack. I think languages are arbitrary, so I'm okay with introducing a new language, but
Yeah, me too.
he decided to implement JS for whatever reason. So now we have two PRs that do the same thing. So fantastic. So we'll need to figure out which one we want to take. I am okay with either. But
And it was originally in Python, is what you said?
yeah, it was originally in Python, and he didn't want to introduce a new language stack, but it's CI/CD anyway, so it's like it doesn't really.
Yeah, they should have like lots of different options.
Yeah, I really, yeah. So I'm a little confused at why he did this without like at least discussing it. So it's a little.
Then did it in JS at that. So
Yeah, yeah. So either way, let me see here. And then the tests, and then there's tests inside of this. Okay, interesting. Either way, we'll figure it out. I'll hop on maybe in Slack and message David and see what the reasoning for this was and if there was any sort of goal specifically or if because if the only reason was the language thing, I'm gonna let them know. You know, that's a pretty like unless they're choosing like a not well-known language, like like
yeah, unless they
someone.
created their own language
Yeah,
and
exactly right. Then I'm then I understand. But yeah, choosing Python, which is a well-versed language, is completely fine. But yeah, I'll talk to David and we'll see what the best approach was. Um,
so what's the goal for today?
So I was just go. So the goal for today was first to go. I was originally gonna go over the zero point 0.5 bugs because David
Mhm.
reported some, but I think they already got merged.
Right.
So I was just was looking at the open PRs first. Because yeah, that's so okay. So a little bit of context. So generally, the format of this meeting is we discuss like the high priority things. Like 0.5 was
Hmm.
the highest priority, but then we go over like the open PRs and bugs that might be associated with like the current release, the
Hmm.
plus the new release. So that's kind of the flow that we're going in now. Is just looking at this is the new schema PR that David had open, but like I said, I'll talk to him directly and kind of see where we
Right.
go from
Because it looks
there.
like all of those things got merged, right?
No, these ones did not. The,
Oh,
these two PRs. So we have the Python and the JavaScript one open. So
okay.
that's why I we need to consolidate which one that we want to choose and then kind of figure out um what we want to do here. So yeah. But either way, so that was kind of the gist there for just kind of like highlighting like what was open. And those were the only things that were open was those two PRs to handle the
Hmm.
CI/CD related stuff. Um, and then what I wanted to go into is I think in the last meeting, we talked about wanting to clean up some of the website because it's outdated. So I think that's a
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like the a primary one, mostly because we've since we first started CD events, we've moved to a pretty we've landed in a very different area. I mean, not different in so much like like the goal, but like the some of the ideologies, some of the semantics are definitely a lot more stricter. So we need to have as I think you actually reported this to DC that the primer needs to be updated. So I think, we need to add this as a GitHub issue if it isn't already one. So let me first check that. Da, da, da. I don't think it is. No. Okay. So, updates primer to reflect new to be up to date with current spec. The current CD events primer has not been touched in a while and is updated. Need to do past to ensure we capture all that is relevant. Okay, so I'll do that. And then that's something I can probably do a little bit later. So I'll assign that to me. Was there anything in particular, did you see when you saw this? Or were you just saying that this just needed to be updated? Or was there something in
It
particular that
was, oh my God, that was so long ago.
okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, it was just that a lot of it didn't make sense. It was saying that you could do things that you actually couldn't do.
couldn't do, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I
Okay.
can read through it again and just add to your PR if you want me to.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean
That,
your
that
your issue.
issue. Yeah. I think, yeah, let's go ahead and do that then. Because I think for me, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think when we first, when this first was written, like they had Andrea specifically had a goal in mind, and we definitely are still moving towards that goal, but I think the way we're going about implementing it might be a little bit different, especially with like these diagrams, which they should still work, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to relook at them, but yeah, definitely. So okay, so let's make that an
And I think one of the things was about it had this whole concept of namespacing that didn't make any sense.
oh, did it? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Was it called something else or was it called namespace?
I don't it's hold on, stop right there. Where you had full event
Yeah,
and it had
here.
like the yeah, examples of event versions. I think this was the one where it had CD events X. I think I remember that being an issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
CDEvents. Let's
And
see.
then we talk about having a place to register it. There was nowhere to register this, there was stuff like that where it's a lot of like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. And we didn't
Right,
do it.
right.
And but then in a way it kind of ties to what you had said earlier, where some of the, oh no, actually you didn't say it, I read it, that like some of the namespacing stuff hadn't been well defined, and
Hmm.
I haven't published that yet. Um, and it's going to be like a couple of weeks before I go back to like the stuff that I was going to publish and, putting in the events, the stricter events, and namespacing and give those definitions. I'm, just focus on setting up my company.
Hmm.
And so that's going to take me a couple weeks before I circle back to it. But I will try and get that addressed before, March.
Okay. Okay, so what I will do then, well, my plan for this to DC is I can probably have this done probably like probably in the next couple weeks. I can just probably knock out like an updated primer
Hmm.
just to get it at least synced with what,
Yeah.
one to be correct and then sync with what we currently have.
Hmm.
What do we think? What do you think we should do for this namespacing? Should that come as a second PR, or do you think we should include that as well?
Well, I think it should be a separate PR because we haven't really definitively said do it XYZ way. I just
Yeah,
pointed out
yeah.
ways that we could do it,
Okay.
that would work. And the problem is like updating the having an update for the libraries that's that respect the namespace.
Hmm.
I think that's a part of it. And, so I'm in the process again of setting up and, finding people and blah, blah, blah. And so as that's happening, there'll be folks to do that. Um, but, the concept of, hey, we need to do it. And in the one that I think I wrote was basically based on WSDL.
Hmm.
I mean, that'll work, but then we have to implement it, right? And not
Right,
just
right.
say that it's X, Y, or Z. And work out, how the schemas inherit. But that's all in the issue. It just needs to be implemented cleanly.
Hmm.
And so that's part of what will get done in the next couple months.
Okay. Yeah, that should work. Do you think so? Right now, we can do a very simple namespacing where it's just like, in the GitHub repo, or it could even be its own GitHub repo called CDEvent namespaces. And people just like add it, create a PR, add their namespace, and they just adhere to that. Very just simple, like what's that called? Like a human element to it, where
Mhm.
it's not really enforced by anything. But I think that, could be a good like first step to getting into seeing seeing one how people are going to use namespaces, and then two how people think they plan on identifying their own namespaces, for
Well,
example.
yeah, but it's a little bit trickier than that, right? Because we have to have the mechanic for being able to see the namespace in the libraries so that it will respect it. So that's what I'm talking about. It's not just saying I'm declaring I have a namespace. It's like, okay, how does this work with the libraries with your namespace? How's the, you know, how is it pulling from the base event? I mean, that goes back to like the whole concept of needing a base event,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, and then building from that base event, and everything inherits from the one base event.
Hmm.
Um, and
Oh,
uh,
yeah, yeah. So I'm just talking about like the identifier at this point, but you're talking about the whole
mechanic.
spiel. Gotcha,
Yeah, yeah.
gotcha. Yeah,
Right,
that's what.
because if you have
Yeah,
the identifier and it doesn't fit the mechanic, then then you basically are asking people
just
to
follow it. Just yeah,
yeah, and then have to redo everything, right? And
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I at least in my mind, it would be cleaner to say, hey, this is how this whole thing is going to work in one shot. Let people poke holes at the system itself and the library changes,
Hmm.
and like start in an actual direction and then move forward. But and again, this is it's a community driven thing, so I mean, we can do whatever the community wants.
Right, right.
But I just that's how I had always thought about implementing, and part of the reason why, because I didn't get the resources to really be able to put the time in to go,
Hmm.
hey, we need to have these things fixed so that we can use them, right? Because it's more the namespacing, at least the way that I had envisioned it, wasn't just, hey, this is a namespace for my company. It was, hey, this is a namespace for my company, but then you can have orgs within the
Sub
company.
team, yeah.
Yeah, and and all of those things need to come together in how that solution works.
Right, right. So here's what I'm kind of thinking too, like from an SDK point of view. So it sounds like what we actually need is namespacing being a first class citizen from the user's point of view, right? That,
Yes, yes,
yeah, as opposed to like it being on the event and people are just sending it, right? Like,
right,
well, yeah, okay. So I
right.
think that should be fine, but yeah, like you said, we just need to iron out what that looks like.
Right. And so that's why I was saying we should take it out of the primer for now, because the primer talks about CD
Mm,
events X, experimental, and people needing to register against CD event X.
right, right.
And
Okay,
so
okay.
that's the part that was misleading. And then it implied that that actually worked when you did it, like the system saw that differently.
Right.
But I don't think it does.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's well, I mean, if everyone played nice, right, it would work, but we know how that is, right? So,
Yeah.
um, okay, so that's something we can definitely start thinking about.
Okay.
Is this something that you want to take? Or do you
Well,
want,
it like all of these things are, need to be resolved before I can do my thing anyway. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's part of what I'm hiring for, the
Okay.
people to come and start doing these things. Um, yeah. So like I said, that's why, setting up the company, getting everything, starting to hire people, that's my first thing. And then we'll come back and attack some of this stuff. And it doesn't prevent people from using it how they're using it. It just has to do more with like, okay, how do you do inheritance and interoperability across, large sets?
Hmm.
And so, I mean, it's fine the way it is for now because it's not, no one's saying like, oh my God, I'm broken. I can't do this.
Hmm.
So I would say it's technically a very low priority unless someone else shows up and says, hey, I need this to work.
Right, right. Okay.
And no one's showed up and like wanted to register to CD Events X, right?
No, no, no.
Oh,
Yeah, so I don't think, well, everyone's working in their own bubble, so they don't think about namespacing until like, they collide with someone, right?
right.
So yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, we can definitely mark this as low, or just this topic as like low priority for now. And
Hmm.
we can move it as needed.
Right.
Um, okay, cool. I like that. And then another thing, that needs to also work out is making the SDKs usable. So SDKs need to be more user friendly. Like none of the SDKs are really user friendly as they sit. And my plan is to like completely revamp the Java SDK as well as the Go SDK. So I can do those two fairly cleanly.
Okay.
Um,
S- So, so that's the SDK for using and validating events.
yes, that's
Okay.
for sending, using, and validating events. All three, yes.
Okay. All right.
Um, so the primary issue is within the SDKs, every every event has its own context, even though all the contexts are the same. So when you try to write code for one context versus another, you have to copy all those fields over because they're two different types, right? So that's like problem number one. And then problem number two is the subject as well is most of it is the same except for the content field. So that again,
I'm not following.
oh, sorry. There's inside the subject, there's,
Oh,
like there's like type, there's like source,
yep. Yep.
those are
Yep.
all shared except for the content field. The content is like per event, which is like pipeline run, pipeline start, and those can deviate. So what I'm saying there is that these shared commonalities can be like, in a side of a shared structure. So it's easy to get that common interface between all the events,
Hmm.
and the only difference should be the content type per event, because that's really the only thing that's different for each CD event is just this content. That's it. So because how it's built now, anytime you want to do any sort of like functionality where you want to make something generic, so you don't have to like do a gigantic switch statement,
Hmm.
you you would need to like refactor all of this to have a common interface, and that's going to be
Oh,
the
yeah, I think I understand what you mean. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because everything has its own type. That's the biggest issue.
Right.
Um,
But the first common interface should be like the base event, right? And
yes,
then each type
exactly.
event beyond that has its own common interface.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, no, that's part of what yeah, that's part of what I'm thinking that is the work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
When I say like the namespacing, because the namespacing needs to be supported in that as well,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Because you've got to have your inheritance work in the SDK
Mhm.
based on that namespacing structure, so it knows, oh, well, I get this from there, and that makes me this kind of event. And that's actually, I think, what I was trying to put in the WSDL definitions when I was explaining it.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
we should go back and take a look at that. I saw a note that it wasn't clear somewhere in our meeting notes.
Oh,
Um,
in our meeting notes.
yeah, something about that. Oh, I'll find it and
Okay.
but yeah, that's okay.
But yeah, that heart that that friendliness is just not is not there. And then two things that need to be also added in the SDKs is right now when you want to send an event, you need to take the CD event that was generated, convert that to a cloud event, and then send it with the cloud event SDK, right? So you need
Hmm.
two SDKs just for the CD events SDK, which is just not user friendly, right? So the goal is that we're going to hide the cloud event entirely because users shouldn't even need to know about that, right? And if we want to change CD events to use a totally different protocol, people are now going to be screwed because now they got to change it because the second SDK to be whatever, right? So that's number two that needs to be changed. That protocol layer needs to be completely hidden from SDK users. The third thing that needs to be changed as well is there's no ways to hook into the SDKs. So if an SDK has a custom like authentication layer or a custom, like tracing they want to add, for example, right? It's very hard with how the SDK is currently set up. And the way to really, so what a lot of people do is the most obvious way that a lot of people do, which is not the best way, and I'll give the reasons why, is what people do is they'll just um, wrap or create another abstraction on top of the SDK, right? But the issue if you do that is that any tool that relies on that client suddenly is not usable by this new abstraction that you have, right? Unless you have like polymorphism, which you can then, support that. But things other languages that don't have polymorphism, like Rust and Go, cannot support that type of behavior because you created a whole new SDK on top of it, and just maybe has as like as a field or a component as the base client, the CDEvents SDK.
Yeah.
So to prevent this, when you're designing an SDK, you should have flexible, you should have lifecycle hooks inside of the SDK where they can add whatever they want. And just register within the lifecycle of the SDK. So if you have any sort of custom event that needs to be sent, you can just add like a marshaling hook or a serialization hook. And if you have a custom, like HTTP client, or maybe just a client in general that doesn't send HTTP, maybe it sends just raw, like gRPC or something, something different. They should just
Hmm.
be able to add their own hook, replace it, and then do whatever logic that needs to support that, and then send it. So you're never replacing the SDK. You're just injecting functionality into the SDK. So the SDK never never changes its core type. Which
Right, right.
so
Yeah, I hear everything that you're saying and I get it, but I gotta see it like in
oh,
in
in like
action.
code. Yeah,
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 in context, right? Because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like what you're saying makes sense, but in my mind, like the SDK itself, since it starts from a base event, there's always like it should at least adhere to the base event.
Hmm.
Um, and if it adheres to a base event, then it's a valid CD event.
Yes,
And
yes.
then anything beyond that you've customized, your code needs to handle, not necessarily all of the code, in all of the repos with all of the people in the world, right?
Right,
Uh,
right.
but I think what you're talking about is more the mechanic to deliver that internally in the SDK.
Exactly. Yep, yep.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's fine. Um, but like I said, it's for my focus is, first setting everything up, and then I'll start to circle back and see which ones of these that my group needs to actually attack and get
Mhm.
moving so we can get moving in our own process. We're gonna, focus on just a prototype so that we have the prototype for uh CDCon
Okay.
and to start and to show to UN. Um, So that's the A number one, and that's I'm literally going to a design meeting tomorrow with some just some old friends of mine to go over it. And they will very pragmatically poke a lot of holes into this to make sure that the overall concept is doable. And so that we can lay this out as a project for my project managers, for my
Okay.
project manager. Okay.
All right, cool.
All
Yeah,
right.
that sounds good. Okay, cool. So what I think I will do then is for the SDK ones, because like I said, the Java one, I plan on creating a PR probably in the next few weeks.
Hmm.
But what I will do before that is I'll create a simple design doc just
Hmm.
on the SDKs and how we should expose it to the end user. Just based off of what we talked about, as well as consistency between SDKs, right? Just ensuring that when one person goes from one SDK to another, it's not completely different. And it also ensures like the thing that you were talking about, did you see that, when we're sending events, we should only be looking at like when we're passing the type around, it should be the base event, right? Nothing,
Right.
we shouldn't care about what type of event it is, just that it adheres to the base event. And then we let
Exactly.
serialization, yeah, handle it and send it off on its way. But yeah, okay, cool. So I'll go ahead and create an issue outlining the overall design for FPKs and best practices. All right. And
Okay. And
yeah,
so the only other thing is the verifiability.
yeah,
And that's the thing that I'm gonna be curious about, like, where that is week to week.
yeah, yeah.
And if that is resolving. And again, as I find people, they'll start showing up in these meetings with you.
Mhm.
And you will see less and less of me as we move forward. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so verifiability is going. I met with the security engineer that I've been working with, and we got it laid out. But unfortunately, the to get the approval, everyone's been out like these last couple of
Yep.
weeks.
Yep.
So but I think they're back. So I have a meeting with them the end of this week, and then
Okay.
once I can ping them and see where if everyone's back. And if everyone's back, we should be able to get a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Once we get the okay, I will then hop back over to the cloud events meeting. But the cloud events, see, it's not it's been they don't resolve meetings until next week anyway. So
Okay.
it's been everyone's been on vacation. But yeah, so that's kind of like the context there. But next week, cloud events meeting should have updated verifiability PR. So, yep, that should be good to go. And like I said, from the previous cloud events meetings, they were much more in favor of it, and they just wanted this one last feature, and then they will re-review it, and I think we should be able to get this merged in fairly quick.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, that's all I had in terms of this. I'll start planning this design and best practices out after I get this primer. Well, I'll do the
Okay.
primer first, and then do the best practices and patterns next. But yeah, was there anything else to do that you want to talk about?
Nope. 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 Mm-mm.
All right. Cool. All right,
All right.
JC, you have a good one.
All right. You too. Bye.
All right. Bye.